Alright.
Hey, I'm gonna get one good cough in. I feel like that's from a movie. Okay. Sorry, guys.
It's all about him.
It really is.
Ready?
Fact. Ready?
Alright, what's up, fellow whiteboarders? It's Matt Harris alongside Dr. Juan Diaz. And we are joining you from our living room once again with our quality editing software that you've grown so accustomed to seeing on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. So we are going to recap last week, but we're going to give you some new material this week for episode 2. But last week, basically we gave you 2 pretty simple assignments. The first one was to go out and buy a whiteboard. And if you didn't have a chance to do that, you can use a piece of paper or a chalkboard. It doesn't really matter. But basically, we just want you to be able to have a place, a centralized location that you can write some goals each week and start creating some momentum for your week. So hopefully you had a chance to do that. If not, each week's a new opportunity to start fresh. So you can do that this week. We also asked you to think a little bit in the future about who you wanted to be in 50 years. So hopefully you had some time to think about that person and think about the things that you would like your grandchildren to tell people about you in 50 years. And how you would like the people in your life to explain you and describe you. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, take some time to think in detail about that. We're going to start today's episode though with a great story of triumph, and it's a guy that is a celebrity now, but he wasn't always a celebrity. So Juan is going to tell us the story of Sylvester Stallone and the movie Rocky. So Juan?
Thanks, Matt. Beautiful introduction. Yes, so Sylvester Stallone, before Rocky, he was just a struggling actor in New York. So he decided, hey, you know what, if I'm going to be the actor that I want to be, the actor that I know I can be and that I will be, I'm going to need to move to California. So he moved out west, and you know, it was during this time that he was broke, dirt broke, and so broke to where he couldn't even afford to feed his dog, his best friend. So unfortunately, he had to sell his dog, and it was extremely heartbreaking, obviously, as you can imagine, I'm sure. But so he sold his dog, and it wasn't maybe sometime after that, he ended up going to the Muhammad Ali Chuck Wepner fight, which would later be the inspiration to Rocky. So during this fight, Ali, Wepner, Wepner, of course, he lasted the entire fight, round for round, and he actually knocked Ali down, which was amazing. The champion, the heavyweight champion of the world, I mean, that was just amazing. So you have this guy, this boxer, not very well known, Wepner, knocking down Ali. That's a huge deal. So for that one moment, he was the man. All eyes were on him. So it was that part of the fight that really inspired the story of Rocky. And so he went home after that, and for 3 days he wrote and wrote and wrote, and he ended up finishing the script to Rocky. He went to producer to producer to producer, and finally he came across a producer that, you know, he really liked the script. So he offered him $100,000 for the script. And if you got to keep in mind that this was in the 1970s, and he was offered $100,000. That's a lot of money at the time, especially for a person that has very little money. In fact, he had mentioned that he only had about $106 in his bank account. But so he actually turned down that offer, the $100,000 offer. He turned it down because the offer was just for the rights of the script. It wasn't to have him involved in the movie at all. And he knew that he was going to be, or he had to be, the star of the movie. Not just in the movie, but he had to be the main actor. Mm-hmm. So he refused, of course. He declined it, offer after offer, and then Next thing you know, he's offered $300,000. And of course, once again, it's only for the rights. So once again, Stallone, he was like, no, I need to be the star. I need to be the main actor. So finally, they came back, the producers, they came back and said, hey, you know what? Okay, fine. We will make a deal, and we're going to offer you $25,000 for the script, and you could be the star. So that's what happened. And so this was, of course, back in the 70s, and he was 30 years old at the time. But just to reflect on, what it was, just to inspire that script. And so he finally, of course, became the star of the film. And of course, the rest is history. The movie premiered in 1976 and went on to, it was nominated, or it won 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. So, big deal. Of course, the rest is history. We've all seen and heard of the Rocky movies. So
that's an incredible story. It's also funny, too, that he actually went back and the guy that he sold his dog to, he ended up buying his dog back, and I think he sold it for $50 and ended up having to pay $10,000 to get his dog back. But it was just something that was incredibly important to him, so he ended up doing it. But that story has always resonated with both of us, just because Sylvester Stallone had a vision in his mind of what he wanted to accomplish, and he just didn't accept no for an answer. And he wasn't going to settle for any alternatives, and that's really what the whiteboard is all about, and that's really what we wanted to help you create. So that's basically the premise behind all of these exercises, is figuring out what's your why. So the exercise for this week is very similar to last week, but instead of thinking who you want to be, we want you to spend time thinking about what you want. And these could be materialistic things; they don't have to be. But what kind of car do you want to drive? What kind of house do you want to live in? What do you want your family to look like? Everything that you can think of. Spend some time doing that. And we'll pull those pieces together here in the coming weeks, and we will help you create a vision statement that you can read out loud every day to help put you in that mind frame, so that you can start thinking and visualizing of the person that you want to become, which is going to internally create that person inside of you. So that's what we're gonna help you do this week. And Juan's got another awesome quote from Steve Jobs that he wanted to share with you, which I love as well. So
thanks, Matt. And I have to apologize for my voice. I've been trying to recover from a nasty cold for the last couple of weeks. Just kidding, guys. I was up late last night singing Taylor Swift songs.
He kept me up all night.
I did. Pretty much all the songs from her 1989 album. Amazing. Huge fan of this guy.
He nailed them.
I did. So, okay. Here's to the crazy ones. The misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers. The round pegs and the square holes. The ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. But the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And be a champion this week. The whiteboard experiment is in your corner.